Welcome to Yorkshire Entrepreneur, a new podcast where we talk to special guests about entrepreneurship in God's own county. We'll be discussing all things business, sharing success stories and the struggles to get there, as well as grabbing top tips from business support experts. In this episode, I chat with Samantha Addy, CEO and founder of FAB, the Female Advisory Board. We chat about growing up in Newcastle, starting a family, and delving into the world of entrepreneurship. Hello and welcome back to the Yorkshire Entrepreneur. I'm really excited to be here today as I have a wonderful guest with me. It's Samantha Addy, who is the founder and CEO of FAB, which is a Female Advisory Board. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Ellie. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm excited to have you on and hear all about your story. But first, for some of the viewers that won't know, just give me a little bit of an introduction and tell me about yourself.
Okay. So I'm Samantha Addy, as you've just said, the founder and CEO of the Female Advisory Board, aka FAB, which is private member peer advisory board groups for successful entrepreneurs, all female. But prior to that, I've had quite a quirky background. I'll take you back to probably where I should start, which is the beginning. Quite an unconventional childhood. I moved around a lot when I was little. Born in the north in Newcastle, my parents had pubs and clubs. So I saw a lot of adult world, if you like, from a very young age. And the kind of things that some children probably shouldn't see, I was exposed to from a young age. But actually, probably looking back now, it's done me probably a lot of good for my future, but you don't think that at the time. You're just sort of wrapped up in the environment that you're in. And a lot of that time I didn't particularly feel safe. So started working when I was 12 years old, in the pubs downstairs, helping washing out glasses, collecting glasses. Brilliant. In the kitchens, hard working hours on weekends and stuff, but earning money. So I think doing that instilled a sense of maybe a work ethic that I knew I would tap into later on. You look back on these things now and think it all kind of adds up to the kind of person that you become. And so because of the background that I had and the environment and exposure that I was in, found myself one evening out with friends, out young as you know what it's like, and I met this guy who had come up from London. He was part of our friends, and he was he was just this really nice, safe, warm, loving person. And it sounds really strange to say, but I instantly knew I wanted to be with this man for the rest of my life. Wow. And it's a very, very weird thing to say, but we got together when I was 17. He's a little bit older, and we got married when I was 20. Goodness. And actually we'll be celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary this year. Amazing. And what I wanted to do was create a family and a safe sort of environment of my own, and to have children of my own that I could,
that you'd maybe felt that you didn't necessarily have.
Potentially, looking back now. But what we've actually then done is I had my first daughter when I was 21 and my son when I was 23. And we just created this really wonderful family unit and given them everything, I suppose, that I potentially wanted as a child. Yes. And so now we've got this amazing lifestyle and a lovely sort of wonderful family.
That you're still, together from meeting him so young, because that's quite unusual that you would still be together.
The odds were very much stacked against our favour. There was absolutely no way. In fact, I would say that pretty much the majority of the people that attended our wedding would be thinking, I'll give this a couple of years. That's not going to last. But I can honestly say it's just meant to be. Sometimes it is, and you never know what the
Wonderful.
future has in store for it, but
Yeah.
he was my rock, and has been for absolute years, and I think I'm very lucky to have been able to find him and have him in my life, and actually having that stable support that has then enabled me to go on to do what I was doing. So I spent most of my 20s at home bringing up babies
as a mum,
which was absolutely wonderful, and I was really lucky to be in that position that I chose to do that. But then I think the reality of children starting school at nursery age, and then what do I do with myself at a very young age, kind of presented itself.
Yeah, because that is very young, isn't it, to have children? So 21.
I was 21 when I had my daughter.
It's very young to have children, isn't it? And I suppose all your friends at the time were out at
university,
like, nightclubbing.
Nothing in common with them. As such as they would be ringing me, telling me everything that they were getting up to.
They were having. Yeah.
I was getting up to none of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember my best friend at the time when I actually had Isabel, she came into the hospital to see me, and she just said, "You just look so scared."
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know,
well, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying. No matter what age you are, nothing prepares you for when you have that first baby. But, you know, at the time, I didn't think anything of it, and you get on with it. And
to have another kid so soon after, so is it 2 years between them? Yeah. So it wasn't that terrifying.
No, and I kind of always knew that I would want to have, if I was lucky enough to have, at least 2.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely, very blessed in that regard.
Yeah.
And they've gone on and are doing very well for themselves at the moment. So I hope that continues for them.
Yeah, fantastic. So you had your children. You spent most of your 20s at home being a housewife and a mum, which you loved. But then I suppose, were you thinking they'd gone off to school? What am I going to do now?
It's exactly. And I just touch on that. I'm not sure I loved being a housewife at all. In fact, I think it was quite a lonely time being at home with babies, probably being a decade younger than the majority of the other mums.
I was going to say, a lot of the other mums would have been older, and
not a huge amount of in common. And I'm probably not one of these people that likes to, I'm not really a lady that lunches and goes for those kind of things, or likes to particularly go shopping. Not that I'm maybe portraying a stereotypical, which is unfair, but it kind of felt a little bit like that for me at the time. There wasn't anybody that kind of was like me that was with
and going out
to
because I know I had children, but a bit older at 27. Like, so a lot of my daytimes were out at baby groups and things like that, you know. And then, like you said, you're meeting people, but generally they are a bit older if you're only 21. So
well, it was like I said to you before about that conversation about the pineapples. It was just, you know, I realised very early on that the conversation, I didn't have an awful lot in common. And when the conversation turned to the price of pineapples from one supermarket to another, when you're 23, 24, I rang my husband and I was like, I'm struggling to find friends here. But I did. It wasn't that bad. But
So after that, what was the next steps then? What did you want to do after that?
Well, so we went to London to see some of our friends just for a weekend away, and we went to Covent Garden. And
love Covent Garden.
It's just magical. And we went to this little creperie downstairs. It was really cool. And, you know, you go on holiday and you love a crepe, don't you? And, but they did savoury crepes. And I was like, what are they? Had one. They were amazing. I thought, this is just such a really great concept. You know, savoury crepes, sweet crepes, and just the vibe in general. I'd love to have something like this. And I don't know if it's born out of that sort of working when I was young, on my parents having businesses that I've kind of watched when I was young, that I kind of knew that I would want to do something for myself. Have something of my own. And there wasn't anything like that where I lived at the time.
Which was, where were you living?
So in Harrogate. And so I decided, I'm going to do it. It was in the recession. I went to the bank. I'd never done a business plan before, but I got a loan. Everybody thought I was mad. It would never work. And on a very small budget, I set up Crepes and Creams, which was a French boutique, an ice cream parlour, and it was wonderfully received. For the 5 years we had it, I built a team.
Yeah.
We were ranked on TripAdvisor as the top 5 restaurants to eat in Harrogate for the duration, and occasionally we ranked number 1.
Yes.
We, by word of mouth, there wasn't an awful lot of investment in marketing. I was flying by the seat of my pants as I did it. It was the first business I'd ever had.
Yeah.
But gosh, I learned a lot in that space of time.
Yeah.
And I was about to franchise the model, potentially had an investor. We were just about to open our second store in York.
Yeah.
Lots of students in York, so that would have been a really big hit. And that would have proven out the concept to scale up and go national with the brand that I'd created.
Incredible. Until
I got a phone call one Tuesday afternoon from my store manager saying we've all been evacuated out of the premises because there's been a fire. And then I didn't realise that phone call would be the turning point to me actually losing the business. So that was horrendous. It was a fire 2 doors down from my premise. It was an oil fire, which took 15 fire engines 3 days to locate and put out.
Wow.
And the devastation of that fire, it was in the news. It ultimately led to the road closures, 18 months of scaffolding, building sites, skips, portaloos, everything right outside my front door. And I think I mentioned to you that I thought I would be covered for any loss of revenue through my insurance company, only to find they found a clause in my contract that said, despite what's going on outside your premise, so long as a person can physically get through the door, they wouldn't cover me for any loss of revenue.
Wow.
And I took it to the Ombudsman. I fought solicitors, landlords, surveyors, all men.
I can imagine you did.
I literally rolled my sleeves up saying, no, I'm not going down without a fight. But actually, 12 months in, I realised for my own personal health and for that of my family, I couldn't continue doing it. It wasn't sustainable, and I had to go into the proceeds of liquidating the business. So 5 years to the month of opening the doors,
horrendous.
It was all over.
Yeah,
and it was so sad.
Just so hard to accept as well. Through nothing that you'd done, no fault of your own. Everything was going so well.
Yeah,
to have this happen, but these things happen and. What makes you stronger, right?
But you don't see that at the time.
Oh, gosh, no.
At the time. And in fact, I'm still very scarred from it now.
I bet, yeah.
But what an experience and what a learning in that 5 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, I needed to find a job. First and foremost, I needed to earn some money. But who was going to employ me after what I'd just been doing for the past 5 years? Yeah. But I went to work.
Well, I don't know. It sounds pretty amazing. You set up your own business, and I mean that we know is really, really hard. To set up a business and run your own business, and to do that successfully for 5 years. So hopefully they would have looked at that.
Well, they did.
Yes,
it didn't feel like that at the time, but they did. And one of the first people I went to work for since then is actually a confidant of mine now, and an amazing entrepreneur. I seem to have tapped into really interesting and incredible people in my journey to date, which I don't know how it's happened, but I think maybe
you have for sure.
But I learned a lot from this man, and he was, do you know what? He was really respectful of what I had tried to achieve. Had achieved, and what I was trying to achieve, and he allowed me to come on board into his fintech company. And be a part of that growth, which he then went on to sell 6 years later for 9 figures.
Wow.
So it was an incredible product that he built, but that was a baptism of fire in terms of learning how other people do things, how other people run businesses.
Yes, yeah.
And then I went to work for a celebrity international hypnotherapist who started out her career with Jane Fonda in LA.
Amazing.
She was the in-house therapist for Hollywood studios.
Oh my goodness.
So she would work with actors and help them overcome, which I'm sure.
And what was your role there when you were working with her?
Well, she rolled out a version of her therapy into a product. that she could train people to do themselves if they perhaps wanted to become a therapist or if they wanted to just learn how to sort of self-care. And she created an online and a live training platform that scaled internationally and turned over multi-million dollars. And I was involved in growing that business out. There was probably about a team of about 15 people. We grew it to 125 within 18 months, which is quite significant growth in a small period of time. But it was huge. Thousands of people and all across the world wanted to learn this method. And again, I was working with very interesting people and learning what they were doing, scaling businesses and riding their waves. I have to be completely honest, I didn't particularly enjoy working for anybody because having had my own business, it wasn't my vision, it wasn't my dream, but I was helping them and I was earning money, which I needed to do at the time.
And it's given you great insight into how to grow a business, isn't it? I mean it's almost like it was meant to be. I think about it now. So I had the first trial run, if you like, with my first business. Then I went and saw how really experienced people go and do it, if you like. And then 4 years ago, I then got the opportunity to go back and do something for myself. So I took that experience, we're always learning, aren't we? I took all of the experiences that I had and I channeled that into consulting, working for small businesses that were scaling fast, that wanted to put their foundations in place so they could grow. And that was lovely. It was a nice lifestyle business. It was lovely to see what businesses were being born out of, especially women that were founding businesses. But I was getting itchy feet at the beginning of this year. Last year.
Oh, yeah, we are in 2024, aren't we now? I forgot. All the years and days seem to be blurring into one. So
early 2023.
That's right. I wasn't building anything. I wasn't making anything tangible of my own that I could be really proud of. So I knew I'd have to do something, but I didn't know what that would be. And then I had a client meeting with a man who was setting up a peer advisory board. Never heard of peer advisory boards before, to be perfectly honest. So I had to research into what they were. And I found companies such as Vistage and the Alternative Board and discovered that their models are really smart. They're simple, but they're really effective.
So what are they? What is a peer advisory board?
Peer advisory boards are groups of certain types of entrepreneurs, certain types of business people that commit to meeting together on a monthly basis, where not only did they get the help and support from like-minded peers to help them grow their business, but they also support the other people in the groups to help, businesses, no matter what industry you're in, typically have the same kind of challenges. Whether it's cash flow or sort of investment or people, growth in general, strategy. There's so many sort of complexities, with running a business.
Absolutely.
It doesn't really seem to matter what industry it is. And what's really powerful is that 12 people from non-competing backgrounds all come together each month to help each other out, to understand and have the empathy of what it's really like to be growing businesses of similar sizes, and finding solutions to sort of see future successes in terms of what that looks like for them. So when I researched them, I thought, they're really, really smart, but there's something happening here.
So this was one of your clients?
This was a potential client who was setting up his own peer advisory board. So for me to be able to go and have a conversation with him about how I could help, I needed to really understand what they were.
What it was,
And then when I did discover it, what I noticed was majority of the people that were sat around that table were men. And whilst there's nothing wrong with that, I know from who I've worked with in the past that there's a huge amount of successful female entrepreneurs out there, but we're very underfunded and very undersupported. Statistically, across the globe we are. And I just when I went to this client meeting, I just sort of suggested that this is a great concept, but it would be absolutely fantastic for women in business.
Yeah.
This isn't an anti-male thing at all.
No.
But I just believe
I think that's important to say as well.
It is. But I think conversations that happen around, and I know this is a fact, and I can actually say it now, the conversations that will happen around a table when you're safe and secure, and there's just women in that room, is really effective. And potentially wouldn't happen, the conversations potentially wouldn't happen if you're 1, 2 or 3 out of 12 other men.
Yeah.
And so I just mentioned that this would potentially be a great thing for women in business. And I got the old, oh God, not another bloody women's group of attitude towards it. But do you know what? That just... that
fueled you.
Me on. I got in the car and I just thought, well, you might not think so, but I do. And it sounds a bit contrite, but actually that light bulb moment of, this is 15 years in the making. I absolutely can enable this. I went to bed and I got up the next morning and I just thought, right, I'm going to call it the Female Advisory Board, FAB.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fab.
It is.
I'm going to launch it in Harrogate. That's where I live.
Yeah.
I reached out to the kinds of businesses that I thought might be interested. I had a launch event.
Yes.
And I've created a group out of Harrogate, just about to create the group in Leeds. And it's kind of gathered so much momentum that I have huge national growth plans for the next sort of 3 years to have national representation, to touch and support as many female-led businesses as possible.
Incredible.
And it's very exciting.
It's all very exciting, isn't it? So this happened early last year, didn't it?
June last year.
So June last year was when you had the launch for the Harrogate, for the Harrogate one. And that's been running wonderfully well since then, hasn't it? And we met in November when you had the launch for the Leeds one, which is the second one that you're going to be setting up. Now, I know you've got huge plans. We've talked about it. It's so exciting.
Bore people with my plans.
No, it is so exciting, and having that vision. And I love the fact that, this has been, for you, 15 years in the making, because I got goosebumps when you said that, 15 years of everything that you've been through. There's been wonderful ups and downs there, hasn't there? You know, that have all led to this point, and the businesses that you've met along the way. So what types of businesses are you looking to attract, let's say, for the next ones that you're setting up? Do you reach out to these businesses? How do you find the people to join?
So it doesn't matter what industry. I think is the first and most important thing to say. It's any industry. Yeah. And the first round of groups, because as we grow, there will be different types of groups appealing to different types of business sizes. Yes. But for this particular group, it's for any industry with businesses that are probably at least 3 years old, with a turnover of 500,000 up to around 10 million. And, I think I mentioned to you before, we do have some people in the group that are turning over more than that. But more than that, it's that they have ambition and sort of they've got strong growth plans, and, there's an element of fearlessness about it. But they also know that they've got challenges, and it can be a lonely place running a business. So I'm targeting these businesses specifically because I already know the impact, the positive impact that is having on them. And they also in turn are inspirational for smaller businesses that want to emulate their success. And even there's somebody on one of my boards that turned over £1 billion in revenue with an energy company. So we'll have more of that as well, please, as we grow. And I suppose it's breaking down barriers of, what is the sky's limit for your business? Do you want to achieve that? Is it sustainable? Is it scalable? Profitable, what you want, because not everybody wants obviously the same thing. Success it's very different to people, everyone, but that's where we're starting, and that's where it seems to be having the biggest impact so far. So when I went to the Leeds launch, there were obviously some women there from the Harrogate branch, the Harrogate group. Yes, they were, and
the way they spoke about it was inspirational anyway. You know, it was having such an impact on them already. And so can you tell us a bit more, if someone were to join, or if you were, you know, if they heard about it and they were more interested, what did they get? How does it look to them on a monthly basis?
Yeah, so it's a membership-based model. They pay an amount of money to attend the meetings each month. It's important to point out that they're not tied into this, but there's a commitment that they make to want to be involved in it, not only for them and themselves personally and professionally, but also for their expertise and what they can bring to the table to their other peers. And that's where the magic is. So they pay the membership fee on a monthly basis, and in between there's the chair of the groups, and the chair basically has one-to-ones with them in between the meetings to ensure that there's a lot about accountability. So, you know, change is very difficult to implement into business, and often very hard. And so the thing about having an accountability piece is you've got 12 peers to sort of make sure that you're being held to account to implement the changes that you know you need to do, but it is difficult, and you can lean on these peers every month to say, this is what I'm doing, this is what's happened as a result, and the chair in between ensures that you're staying on track with what you're being held accountable for. And that's the support
and the help, and
and it's important for that, because oftentimes it's very difficult to have people that you can speak to, that you can really be open and honest with sort of what's happening. You can't really talk to your employees, shareholders and other stakeholders, even family sometimes, because they don't fully understand and can empathise with what you're going through. So they get the one-to-one support, they get the monthly meetings. We have an annual event every year where all the groups come together, and it will be in January of every year. It will be a kick-off event, if you like, where a whole day where we bring speakers from across the country, and we all get together and celebrate previous year's successes and set intentions for the next year going forward. It's also within these meetings, it's very highly curated. So there's a strong agenda for each meeting according to the needs of the board, and we bring in expert speakers if it's beneficial to them, which have had some amazing speakers already. If there are things that are happening across the table that perhaps some of the other peers, it might be very complex or contentious, and we need professional experts to come and advise and support us. We've built a network of confidential expertise, if you like, and we're tapping into those already. That will only get bigger as we grow. So really, there should be no challenge that we can't find a solution for as it gets bigger and better. And
Fantastic. It sounds amazing. It is amazing. I know, like I said, we've already, from that one launch, the feedback that you were getting from that was incredible, and you had some fantastic speakers there as well. So do you have these guest speakers at most of the monthly meetings as well? So you have someone in?
Because, well, not everyone. Because sometimes there's so much content, there's so much to go through that it doesn't justify having a speaker every time. But depending on what the needs of the board are, you bring in speakers. And what I'm very keen to do is bring them from different parts of the country, and that different bit of insight that, you know.
And I suppose as it grows as well, so when you've got your groups set up all over, then, you know, they'll be able to go from one group to the other to speak, and you'll be able to see how that's all working, won't you? How successful it's been, or they're bringing something else that's important everybody wants to hear about.
I think as well we'll be building case studies, and sort of what's happening with particular groups is probably not an isolated thing, and the resolution to that might be interesting for future groups, and it would just be a big community, but it's confidential, it's safe, it's a safe space. Everybody signs an NDA. It's, you know, it's not there's no limits to what we can talk about, and then let me tell you, we talk about some things. And it's important also to say that it's not just about the business and the professional side of things. It's equally as important to ensure that entrepreneur is looking after themselves on a personal level, because they're not separate commodities. And that if you're not 100% yourself, that will impact on your business. So there's a lot of it that goes into supporting you on a personal level, because that can only be beneficial.
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely. And I suppose for me, I run my business with Nick, my husband. He'd be glad of me to do something like this. Can go and share it with those other ladies that all want to hear about it and support each other. But no, I think it's absolutely fantastic. So I need to know, I know about your plans for growth, because these are supersonic, and it's inspiring to hear. So at the moment, you've got the Harrogate group and then the Leeds group that's starting in Feb, and then York very soon.
Sheffield.
So just for this year, the plans for this year?
York, Sheffield, Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, Edinburgh, Glasgow. That would be a very successful year for me to have northern representation first. Usually things do tend to come out of London first and foremost, so wouldn't it be really nice?
Incredible.
And I do think because I'm a northern girl as well, it would be nice to see some northern representation first and foremost. But yes, I'd like to achieve 10 groups chaired by amazing, successful entrepreneurs, to really prove out the concept. Potentially have diversified and have some other type of group that can support other types of businesses at different stages. And then within 3 years, it's national representation of FAB up and down the country. And we'll see where we go from there. But I feel that is achievable for sure.
It's achievable, and we need it. We
definitely need it
in the UK, and going national. Amazing.
It's important on a bigger level, from an environmental, economical and societal level, that we have more diversity, and more diversity at top decision making tables. And
what were the facts and figures you mentioned before about women with their, what was the percentage of women that run their business over a certain amount of turnover?
Well, I don't know if you're talking about that. There's £250 billion worth of money that can go into the economy if more women had the same amount of businesses as men. And also that women only get 2 pence in every pound of venture capital investment in 2024. 2 pence out of a pound, and I think it's about 85 pence goes to white males. The narrative is it's just so unequal in an age when it really shouldn't be. And everybody will benefit by having more of a level playing field. So what can I do about that? Because it infuriates me anyway, but what can I do about it? Well, I can ensure that we're going to create more successful businesses to achieve those heights, to achieve those bigger numbers, to make those imprints on society. So we're making the shift, we're getting more people at the top of the tables, making those key decision changes, and the whole world will be a better place because of it. And I genuinely believe that. I think if more women ruled the world, I don't think it would look like it does today. And I genuinely believe
Incredible.
that. I just get on my little soapbox about that, but I'll calm down.
I did see on LinkedIn today, it wasn't your post, I saw your post on LinkedIn today, but it was about the Stanley mugs. Have you seen the Stanley? They're super popular at the moment. And
are those really big ones that look like I wouldn't be able to get?
They're huge, but I think it was like 10 years ago or something where there was a woman working for Stanley in the marketing department. She said, you should do these in pink. They'd be amazing. It's taken 10 years, but now they've done them in pink. And they were flying off the shelves at, I think, Target in the States. Some of them go for £100. Some of these mugs go for $100. And she said if they'd just listened to the women earlier.
I mean, I try not to be too political, but I can be quite controversial in my thinking. But ultimately, I know, coming back to it, that even on a local level, what I have seen in the last maybe 7-8 months or so, multi-million pound turnover businesses, such incredible stories behind why these people are starting their businesses and the obstacles and the challenges that they're overcoming and shouldn't have to be going through in this day and age, but are. So keeping it at local level, and that's why it's in person, that's why it's not virtual. It's not, you know, it's not, I said to you, it's not really a networking thing. It's an actual meeting of minds every month. You have to come to those meetings every month and commit to making those changes to your business and yourself and supporting other people.
And that is something that is very different to just another networking event, isn't it?
Because as wonderful as they are, and don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing networking at all, but it's at a much higher level in terms of you're not going to go in there and talk about the challenges that you're facing with your business.
No.
That's not the intention of those kind of things. So where do you go to have those real, honest conversations with people that can help you? Well, there isn't really any places that you can do that except peer advisory boards. And so by keeping this local and then growing it out through the region, I know just based on my competitors how effective it actually is, and then hopefully the ripple effect will follow.
100%. I'm absolutely positive that it will.
If I've got anything to do with it, it will.
It will, and you've got a lot to do with it. You've definitely got a lot to do with it. It's fantastic to hear. I'm super excited to follow your journey as well. It's really inspiring. So best of luck with that. But I do have some questions, some more questions.
Okay.
Yeah, these are just more quick fire questions as a bit of fun at the end of our podcast. But what would you do if you weren't doing this? So I suppose this is new for you, isn't it? So for some people that would be like, oh, if I wasn't doing this, you know, I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere, or
oh, I don't know, because it genuinely feels like this is
what
I
meant
was
to
meant
be.
to do. But if I was brave enough and I maybe was educated differently, I would like to challenge the status quo, and possibly, I didn't think I hate the word politics, and I hate politics in general, but wouldn't it be nice to have a different type of politics where you could form some other kind of government that we've got and really make changes? So something along that kind of line, maybe. I don't really know what that looks like, but something that still involved change.
Yeah. That's definitely your path.
Very
is taking
serious.
you on this journey, hasn't it? Yeah,
it has.
Yeah. I'm sure I said at some point a midwife. I would have liked to have been a midwife, and I think
absolutely not.
Well, I definitely changed my mind the more children I had. I've got 4 now, so by the 4th I was like, no, I don't want to be a midwife. But after the first, I was like, it's the most wonderful thing ever. So what is the favourite part of your job?
Meeting people like you, the people that are growing businesses, hearing their stories, their whys, and then the even better part of that is seeing their challenges being overcome.
Yeah, and their journey.
And just seeing the impact that's having, and the friendships that are being formed, and the connections. And there's just been such wonderful support from men as well as women. It feels, you know,
I can
very
100%
nice.
relate to that, because that's a bit like this, you know, having guests on and hearing their stories and their why and where they've come from, how they've got to where they are now.
It's
so
incredible.
it is amazing. Yeah, really. I love hearing all of this. So if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Probably, again, this might sound contrite again, but believe in yourself and listen to your gut. I genuinely think I've got a good gut, and oftentimes when I don't listen to it, things happen negatively. So just believe in yourself and just listen to your gut.
I think that's what a lot of people are saying, you know, believe in yourself. And I know Nick always says, should have gone with my gut, should have gone with my gut. He's really good at that. I don't feel like I am so much, but
really?
Yeah, but I think if I could go back, it was just don't sweat the small stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that too.
So much time is spent worrying about things that you just don't need to.
I think that comes with age, though.
I think it does.
It's a luxury that we get as we get older, is that we tend to give less F's, don't we? When we get older, because we're a bit more sort of experienced and worldly wide.
I think having children, the things that you're telling your children, maybe not to, especially as they're growing up. Yours are young adults now, aren't they? And mine are too. So telling them and seeing all the worries and concerns, especially with social media.
I'd hate to be an early 20-something now.
Yeah, me too. Too. Yeah. So, here's one. So, what's your favourite place to eat in Yorkshire?
Oh.
So it was a creperie.
No, actually, I didn't really eat in there. When you're part of it, you don't really do it. There, there's loads of places to eat. I like the crab and lobster.
Oh, where is that?
It's just round near Thirsk. Have you ever?
Right,
and they have beautiful hotel rooms as well, where each room's like done up in like a safari style room. Or,
amazing!
It sounds a bit weird.
No, I love that. I love that.
But it's really, really nice. And I'm a big seafood eater.
Yes, I am.
So
as well.
If you've never been to the crab and lobster,
I haven't.
And there's also that restaurant in Saltburn. Have you ever been?
I've been to Saltburn. Yeah.
And where the pier bit is, there's a restaurant overlooking the sea, and you can just get the best crab sandwich, and it's just amazing.
Oh my god, has Rafi been there? Has Rafi been to this? Max has been there as well.
What's it called? I can't remember what it's called.
Recommended it to
the Seaview Cafe.
And there's always a queue.
I remember
but you get in the queue,
about
and especially if it's nice outside and you can sit outside, it's just wonderful.
Yes.
So those two really, given that you're putting me on the spot. And there's the 3 Acres not far from here.
I love
Do you like the 3 Acres?
Yes, the 3 Acres is amazing.
I mean, I could go on.
Yes. Well, that's amazing. They're 3 for the book. Because, I asked this question so Nick and I could figure out all the best places. I told you he loves eating.
But I tell you what you do have, though, over here, which I do miss since I've moved over Harrogate way, is the farm shops around here are just amazing. I know that we're digressing a little bit, but I did tell you I do that.
Well, there's Yummy Yorkshire as well. Yummy Yorkshire is very close to here. It's a farm and it's got a restaurant on it. Really lovely. That's very close, so, future goals. What are your future goals? We sort of talked a bit about.
Yeah, so the future goals are to realise the vision for FAB, and that will not just be me doing that. So I need to build a team, and so that is something else that I'll be doing this year, is bringing people on the FAB train, and build that out, because this isn't just something that I want to do for me. It's much bigger than that. So the next 3 years are predominantly realising where this takes on a national level, and then we'll see from there. And I'm also going to keep an open mind to that, because for somebody who is quite planned in what they do, something I've learned recently is potentially to be a bit more open-minded to maybe, it doesn't necessarily have to be X, Y, and Z, and to keep an open mind to it. So long as it's going in the right direction and the impact is still being positive, and we're growing these amazing businesses and they're happy and thriving.
Things can adjust slightly. Yes, you've got to be flexible. Yeah. Exciting times. And a FAB show, maybe.
Oh, the FAB show. Oh, gosh. Do you know what? I've been dreaming about the FAB show since I started it.
That's it, manifesting it, you
because
see.
It came off the back of a company that I follow online, a luxury sort of lifestyle company, and they did a show, and I would watched it for years. But I just thought, well, wouldn't that be great to do it on a business level? Have experts in industry that can share what's happening in the world, get their take on it, bring other people together, and put the world to rights a little bit every month. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And it could just tap into other people that might also resonate with that, and people might learn something, be maybe a bit insightful, a bit of fun at the same time.
Yes, because we all need a bit of fun.
I envisage, like the BBC Red Sofa, I'm envisaging the FAB sofa to be identified with the FAB show.
I love it.
I don't know why.
It's going to be green though.
It will be green. Yes. You've given away my rebrand colour. I don't know when this goes out.
You heard it here first. We'll delay it for a few weeks.
Yes, it will be green.
Yeah, incredible. So a couple more questions. So I kind of need to shuffle these around because we've done the favourite place to eat in Yorkshire. So what's a recommended day out in Yorkshire?
So Saltburn is definitely one. We've always had dogs, so the beach is kind of, and I do think I'll end up when I'm older by the sea.
The Yorkshire coast, yeah.
Just by, if I could wake up to water every day, I think that would just be absolutely wonderful. So day in Saltburn, walking along the beach. My husband and my son surf. It's really good for surfing there, so I'm not sure I'm that brave.
Cold.
But then go, but you get your wetsuit on and you're brave.
And it's fine.
And then go for lunch, and it's only an hour away. So that's probably my preferred place to go, although we're spoilt for choice, aren't we, with all the beautiful places around here.
We really are. Yeah, we really are. But I totally agree with you that the Yorkshire coast and walk along the beach with the dog.
Oh, it's just lovely. It's
amazing.
Just everything you need it to be, and it doesn't cost very much to do either.
No, and it's not far, is it?
No.
So one last question, because we obviously are a video production company. What's your favourite movie?
Oh, you could have given me a heads up.
Well, no. Got to be off the cuff, you see. That is a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah. Do people normally deliberate like this, trying to think of what it is? Do they normally know?
It's different. Some are like straight on, Some are very quirky. I did have my accountant on here, and his favourite film was Tangled.
Oh, I love that. I do like Ratatouille.
I was like, I didn't expect that.
No, I don't know. I do love movies. I love Breakfast at Tiffany's all the classic kind of things, The Wizard of Oz, those kind of things. But I'll tell you what I did watch the other week, and that was Pretty Woman.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my all-time favourites.
Yeah, but
it's
very dated now.
Yes,
it's
is.
So dated now. And
I watched it not that long ago as well, and I don't know why. I'm trying to think who I was with, or maybe it's one of my daughters, my eldest daughter. But it is really dated, isn't it? It's
and I used to love it when I went for my 12th birthday. We went to the cinema to see it, and it was one of my favorite. Julia Roberts, I absolutely idolise. But I just watched it the other week, and I just thought, not in today's.
Not how I remember it quite.
I can't think of anything else. As soon as I go home and the drive home, I'll be thinking,
and
that's what I should have said.
And your daughter is in, she's studying film, isn't she?
She is. She's finishing. She's in her final year doing film production in London, and so I don't see her coming home anytime soon. She wants to follow in Reese Witherspoon's. She's done incredible with her Hello Sunshine production company.
What inspirational she is, isn't she?
How she's kind of transitioned from actress to being really smart about getting that book club up and running and testing out through that book club what books would really be popular and then putting them into film. It's very, very smart. And so she's big inspiration to Isabel. So Isabel has actually set up her production company, but she knows that she'll, can't go straight into that once she graduates and needs to get some on the ground work. But
absolutely.
Fully supporting her. Again, tough industry, very male dominated. But, again, you just got to keep going, haven't you? And push yourself forwards and see where it takes you.
100%.
She's got me 100% by her side.
I was going to say, and I'm sure she will, with a mum like you. She absolutely will. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for coming on. It's been fantastic chatting with you.
Me.
Yeah, you're very welcome, and I'm going to keep watching your journey, but you have to come back in a year or so.
Well, it'll be very interesting to do that in a year or so, and we might actually have the FAB team with multiple FAB shows under the belt, and who knows where we'll be. So it's very exciting. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic, a pleasure.